Hello, my most amazing artists. Today we are going to start on our Square One art project for this year. This year our Square One project is this beautiful flower that has pattern in it. If you remember earlier in the year, if you're in my class, we did our Grant Wood landscapes that had pattern in all of the crops. So we've already had some practice with pattern. We're gonna use that again. We're gonna draw it in Sharpie and then put all of this gorgeous bleeding tissue paper over it. Now, the bleeding tissue paper doesn't actually bleed. What it does is it lets the color seep out of the paper once the water hits it. So it's a lot more dramatic than it actually sounds. I'm gonna show you how to set this up today, and then you guys are going to fill your flower with pattern. Here we go. So I have these tracers for you. Be very careful. These are not mine. These belong to Mrs. Rucker. So when you use them, you have to be gentle so you don't break a petal. You want to have your flower almost in the middle of your paper because you want to leave a white space around the edge. One more thing before I forget. All of this up here, this is for me to fill out. You don't have to do anything up here. The only place where you are making marks is below this thick black line. Just wanted to do that before I forget. All right, so I'm going to fill these petals with flower, fill these flower petals with pattern after I trace it. So I'm going to trace very carefully, bringing my Sharpie right along the edge. And then I'm going to make a center to the flower after I do this. I have circles for you to trace for the center. All right, there is my flower. Oh, I didn't quite get this edge right there. There we go. I have these circles. Do not bend them, please, but I have these circles for you to trace for the center of the flower. So trace the petals. Trace the circle in the middle, and then we want each of these petals to be closed because each one's going to have its own individual pattern. So we're just going to bring these straight to the middle to separate them. I'm going to show you some more ideas after this video is over of patterns that you can use, but there are lots of things. Any of our lines will make patterns: zigzags, waves, castle, dashed loops, lightning lines, all of those make design. So these are the ones that I've done here. None of them are very hard, but the key is being careful and making your marks even and neat. So if I'm going to make a diagonal pattern, I'm going to be very careful because you're not going to do it in pencil, you're just going to do it in Sharpie. I'm going to be very careful to make my marks nice and neat. So that's just a crisscross pattern. I can then come in and put a circle on each of the places where it intersects. Intersect is where it crosses. And that can be one of my patterns. Don't think it has to be anything super elaborate. It doesn't have to be. You can make up your own patterns. I'm going to turn my paper and I'm going to do some curved lines. And then in each side, inside each curved line, I'm going to put, let's do some zigzags. Actually, I'm going to skip one. And then do straight lines here. So I'm going to speed up the video as I fill these petals with pattern to give you an idea of some things you could do. Here we go. All right, now that I have this filled with pattern, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a stem and then a couple leaves. So I'm gonna make my stem coming to the bottom corner right here, not off the page, but towards the bottom. And then I'm gonna put some nice big leaves. In each of my leaves, I'm gonna make a pattern as well. I really like this pattern that I did on here, so I'm gonna repeat the same one. It was just up, came back and touched the bottom each time. Okay, and then I'll do the same thing over here. Come up, touch the bottom. Slow and careful movements is the best way to do this. You don't want to rush because then it gets sloppy. So this is what we're gonna do today. We are going to have our flowers, we are going to fill them with pattern, and then next week we will do the bleeding tissue paper on the top. Oh, I forgot, one thing that you're going to do today as well is you are going to sign your name. Somewhere like over here, and if you've been here before, you've signed your name for Square One, just your first name and then the year, it's 2019. So if I'm gonna do it, I don't wanna do it on the edge because it will be cut off. If you're not sure where to put on your name, please come and ask me before you do it. But I'm gonna put my name here, so I'm gonna put Mrs. Garner. You don't wanna put it small or you won't be able to see it. And then I'm gonna put 2019. Next week, we'll put on bleeding tissue paper. It's going to be beautiful. Let's get started.